I just want to take some
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of the main event. I am your host, Mike, and we are broadcasting live today in Facebook at Lions Villain Squad and Detroit Lions News Podcast. Main event Mike here with you, a very special schedule release episode that we're doing today. NFL releasing the 2024 schedule, though it leaked all over Facebook today. We got little tidbits in the morning, then we got some more tidbits, and by mid-afternoon, the full-blown schedule was completely leaked on Facebook. So I've personally had a couple hours to digest it, form some takes. I'm super excited. If you know me, you know that this is my favorite day of the offseason. I love to see how the schedule lays out. And we are joined today with a very special guest from Detroit Lions News Podcast. The one and only Mr. Joe Chapp is in the house today. Joe, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun today, I think.
Yeah, and I can't wait to start breaking this down. And joined as always by the maestro, Mr. Russell Wayne. Russell, are you half as excited as me? If you're just half as excited as me about this, we're in good shape.
You know, what I wanted to do was I'm surprised right now. I kept myself off of the internet, and I wanted to be surprised with who we're playing today. So I'm in a different journey than you are, sir.
Oh, you are absolutely on a different journey then, because I've had at least 2 hours to break it all down and start running different scenarios through my head, making predictions on what I think the record is going to be. We were fairly accurate the last 3 years, right, Russ? I mean, we're batting pretty close to 1,000 for the last 3 years. Both of us pretty close on making predictions on how these schedules lay out.
Right.
So many intriguing storylines. We know the Rams come in week 1. Matt Stafford back in Ford Field week 1. No, hey, Kelly Stafford, don't bring the kids this time, maybe. What sticks out for you, Russell Wayne, on this? What's the first thing that sticks out to you when you see the schedule?
I mean, right there, Rams, week 1, don't bring the kids. Kelly, come on. That was weak. Come on, really?
Running it back.
Yeah, we're running it back. And this is a different Lions team, man. Like, wow. This is a good sketch right there. That's what I see right there. Rams, week 1. Let's freaking go.
Joe, what sticks out for you about the schedule? What's the first thing hit you in the face?
Well, the funny thing about this LA Rams team is look, when they played them in the playoff game, I was like, that's a tough game because of Puka Nacua and that whole thing. But they got to revamp secondary, the Lions do. So I think, playing the Rams this go around, I mean, if you look at some of their rookies, they got Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Blake Corum. But the big thing that we're missing is there's no Aaron Donald. There's no Aaron Donald.
Great
and I
point.
I don't care who you have as a defensive tackle, who you drafted in the draft. Aaron Donald's a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. It's so hard to replace those guys. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So you could be walking into a game that's like easily yours because are you basing your hope on a rookie and a second-year player to take Aaron Donald's load? I mean, that's a tough task to give.
Right, and it was a close game in Ford Field. There at the end, and now you lose Aaron Donald, take him out of the equation, and undoubtedly the Lions have gotten better and improved their biggest weakness, like you said, in the secondary. No doubt about that. And another thing, too, the Rams hadn't had a first-round draft pick in forever, right? Yep. But Sean McVay, Les Snead, they do a really good job. These guys, they pick up Puka Nacua, Steve Avila, these guys, these late rounds that become frontline starters for them. So they've done really well. But now you got to come back into the Lions' den, pardon the pun. You got to come back in before those guys. We get Blake Corum before he gets his first touches under his belt, before he gets rolling, if he's going to be anything. We these guys that they're working in to replace the veterans that they lost, we're going to get them in week 1. I totally see this as a W.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is a W because number one, I don't care about the run game because the Lions have a good run defense. Like they had a good run defense last year, and you gotta think that Jack Campbell is gonna get better. You got DJ Reader in there now. Like the defense has gotten better on that front too. So I see this as a W too. Like I don't see an avenue where the LA Rams are gonna really challenge you in this game. To be honest, I don't like. Their pass game is good, but like I don't know what to expect out of their defense. I know that their defense was good. It was all right last year, which again, like I said, you're losing Aaron Donald. That's a huge loss.
Yeah, and they're also walking into a Ford Field that's going to be more lit than any opening day in history.
Well, when you had all these Lions fans, like 10 Bud Heavies before they even get into the stadium, they'll be ripped and roared to go.
Right. Russ, do you see this as a W on the schedule?
I do see it as a W because I mean you couldn't beat the Lions, a lesser version of the Lions, with the greatest defensive player of all time on your team.
Yep.
Now he's not on the team,
Right.
and our team is light years better in the secondary, and everybody's going to progress another year. So I think this might even be a statement game when it comes
Right.
down to it, because
That's
you know,
kind of what I'm thinking too.
let's go 1-0. We're a bunch
What-
of freaking homers.
That wasn't the path I was going to go, going down every game and taking a poll on what do you think it's going to be. In fact, this is viewer-driven comments, so put it in the comments if you're out there. Put it in the comments. We don't want to know what you think. What do you think about Matt Stafford coming to Ford Field in week 1? Let's take a quick look here in the comments. Our best friend, Fred Peterson, says six primetime games, not including Thanksgiving. Actually, I counted 5. I counted 5.
You like that?
That's 6.
That's one Kirk Cousins for every primetime game the Lions have this year. 5 primetime games plus Thanksgiving. But if you notice, week 18 is to be determined. So if the Vikings suck, it'll probably just be a Sunday at 1. But if the Vikings are relevant and someone else lost their quarterback and they suck, they'll flex that game into another primetime game. So we have a potential for 7 primetime games this year. Don't ever say same old Lions again after this.
Well, people are gonna say that. So
Well, we might bring it back.
We're going to flip it around, bro. We got a plan.
Yeah, it's same old Lions to win 2 playoff games.
After we win 4
shit out of the Packers
in a row.
every year.
I'm telling you, man, that these people are some of these Lions fans. They just like to be miserable. So
Right. Well, after 4 division titles in a row, we'll go up. Same old Lions.
yeah,
Just doing Lions things.
we're just doing Lions things, brand new Lions.
And here's a good one from Donald, who says, our bye week is week 5, then Dallas in week 6. A lot of people I saw on the internet today complaining about having the bye week 5. Joe, I want to get your take on that. What's your feelings on having the bye week so early?
Well, the bye week early can be good and it can be bad. You know what I'm saying? So I look at the bye week early as 2 things. One, it can be good because you're getting it. You really want it in the middle of the year. But if you have it too late, sometimes that can cause an issue. So if you have it too early, that can cause an issue. So it doesn't matter where the bye week is. I think it's just as long as they know where the bye week is going to be. This coaching staff is way different than a lot of other coaching staffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to manage the team the way that they should be managed. Because whenever you get the bye week, you're like, okay, we got a week 9 bye week. Like last year, we had a week 9 bye week. And you're like, okay, that's cool. Maybe a week 5 bye week is better. I mean, we had a week 9 bye week last year. It kind of it caught their momentum a little bit, and then they fell into that trap of the turnovers, and that's sometimes that could happen. So I look at it like the bye week. I don't care where the bye week is. I think these coaches will adjust to it.
Well, I think that's a good point. I do, though, think that I loved having the week 9 bye week because it split your season essentially in half, right? If you could have been, and then you have 2 halves to play. They're going to do 5 games and then 4 games only, and then do the bye week. That's a 13-game stretch with Thursdays, Thanksgiving, Sunday night, Monday night. These off weeks, short weeks makes a difference to me. I think this is where the bye week is always something interesting to me. Russ, what do you think about having the bye week 5? And by the way, I agree with you. I think this team can handle anything like that. They're going to get a bye week early. Big deal. I think this team can overcome that. What do you think, Russ?
I definitely think they can overcome it. I don't like having it that early. I mean, if I'm being totally honest with you, but at the end of the day, you're playing a Thanksgiving game, and on that week, you're going to have a 10-day window to get ready. That's kind of
incorrect. Incorrect. They play Chicago on Thanksgiving. They come back 1 week later, Thursday night football against Green Bay. So they will not have the long week. Week.
Well, then what about the following week after
the following week they would, which would be preparation for Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Correct.
And this is exactly why I love the way schedule release day. We get to see the dichotomy of these little intricacies of the schedule and how it might affect teams. Like you look at a team that goes on a run for 2 or 3 games in a row. They got some powder puffs here in their schedule, and then they get 3 or 4 hard ones in a row, and it really can dictate the ebb and flow of their season and how the whole thing shakes out in the end.
Right.
So let's go back to the comments here because we do appreciate you. Put your comment in. We want to know what you think about this schedule release, how it lays out for the Lions.
You're right about the Thursday. You're right about the Thursday. They got back-to-back Thursday games, so that's
it's interesting. Fred says Blake Corum isn't going to lose what kneecaps he has left with that front line. All right. So, Single Dads Club, good to see you back in here, sir. Bye week early sucks, in my opinion. However, that preps us for Dallas, and that's a great point. The Dan Skipper reporting eligible revenge game. Watch, Brad Allen will be the ref assigned to that. Off. They won't let Brad Allen anywhere near that game, I promise you. What's up, Paul? Welcome to the show. El Martinez, next man up. We got depth. Hopefully, no injuries. That's a great call. Go ahead, Joe.
One more thing about the bye week. I'm looking at the schedule right here. Thank you for Russ for bringing it up. But you got 3 home games, 1 away game, or is the grade? Yeah, the grade is the home games. So you got 3 home games and 1 away game. I mean, maybe the bye week sets up for you nicely because then after that you got 1, 2, 3. You got 4 bye weeks and 5 games. So maybe that bye week comes at the right time because of the teams that you're going to be playing on the road after that. Mm-hmm. You get healthy because those teams are going to be good. I think the Cowboys are going to be good. The Vikings might be good. The Titans are going to be trash. Green Bay is going to be good, and Houston's going to be good. So that's kind of a good stretch to have a bye week so you can get prepped for all those games pretty much, you know.
Absolutely. And if you take a look at it, Joe, what is the toughest 4-game stretch on the schedule? It's that first 4 games. You've got Seattle, Tampa, and the Rams in there. It's always a tough game when the Lions go to Arizona. They never do well out there, really. So I think
Tampa Bay is a pretty good team too.
In succession, you get Seattle, Tampa, Rams, and Arizona. I think that's the toughest 4-game stretch. So I'm going to be happy to have that bye week after that because the rest you get Tennessee thrown in there. No, sorry, Vikings fans, you get Minnesota thrown in there. Games the Lions have a much better roster on paper and should win those games.
Yeah, I think the stretch that's going to be really tough for the Lions is going to be that stretch right at Thanksgiving. I think the Bears are going to be good. The Green Bay Packers, the Bills, the Bears again, the 49ers. That could be for home field advantage. That's a tough stretch. That's a good. It's kind of good because you got 3 home games, 2 away games, so it sets up nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't get away from the division games, and this is one of the strongest, toughest divisions, getting stronger by the year. By the way, in football, you got AFC North, NFC North, arguably the 2 strongest divisions in this league. So it's murderer's row just playing your division schedule. And if Caleb Williams turns out to be the real deal, those Chicago games aren't going to be gimme wins like we're thinking about them right now, especially with the moves that Ryan Poles has made. Next thing that really strikes me about this schedule that I wanted to touch on is we go to Green Bay fairly early, November 3rd in Green Bay. How huge is this game going to be, Russell Wayne, going back to Lambeau, or as it's affectionately known as Ford Field North? What's that going to be like on November 3rd, not having to play in late December or January in Lambeau?
Well, this is a rivalry again, guys. Like, we have to really acknowledge this thing. Jordan Love
It's my
It is
quarterback.
for real. He ain't my quarterback, but this is a real rivalry right here. But the thing is I think that the Lions are the better team as of right now, and we're better in the spots that they're not thinking about. They're not really thinking about, wow, we're really better on the offensive line. We're going to just be able to move them out of the way and be able to run the football and control the line of scrimmage on them. They're going, yeah, go off. But it's a bloodbath, man. We're going to be able to win. I really want to get them in the winter time up in their spot with our offensive linemen running downhill when it's real cold outside. Do you really want to play us in the cold, Green Bay?
That's
Do you really want to play us?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the other way that we, for so many years we go up there in the frigid cold, and we know Goff doesn't play well in the cold. We know that, so that's where I'm thinking. But you're absolutely right. He can hand off the ball to David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs just fine. So if we can run the ball and control the line of scrimmage, doesn't matter what the elements are. It's a good call. What do you got? Joe?
They had. I wanted to bring up one comment of I think it was Collinsworth. No, I can't remember who had compared Tua. He was comparing Tua to one of those seasonal cars that you got to put up, and Jared Goff. He's a pickup truck. He works in all weather. It don't matter. He'll keep going. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Joe.
No, you're good. The Green Bay game, I love that it's early. I do. Because I don't want to get in that whole Green Bay weather, late in the year, garbage. I mean, we're going to have to deal with Chicago. That's one thing. But Green Bay is one of those weird kind of, you go there late in the year and just weird shit happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter how good your team is. Like, just weird stuff happens. Like, you drop a ball that you should have caught. You fumble the ball. They catch an insane pass. Like, that's just the way the Green Bay like luck is. Like, it's at Lambeau. Like, they always all the Packer fans, like, they always say, like, there's like a luck element to Lambeau Field. They got it on the right track, because, like, if you look at some of these games that they won in December and November, like, it comes down to like 2 or 3 plays, and that's what's different. So,
and 3 games on Thanksgiving this year. Giants Dallas also play in the 4:00 game, and then it'll be the Dolphins in Lambeau Field on Thanksgiving night. So we all know all about the Dolphins' struggles in the cold. So maybe late November proves to be. Can
I just say this?
Sure.
The Dolphins are they're the pansiest team in the league. they are a Ferrari in Michigan weather. Mm-hmm. They are all gas, and then when it comes to a time where it gets cold out, they're dead. And then they play in the AFC East. It's not like they play in the AFC South where like they could kind of get away with it. They play in the AFC East where you got to go to New England, you got to go to New York, you got to go to Buffalo. Like, screw that, man. And Tua is not that. He's not that type of quarterback, and they're not built to withstand the weather. Like, they went to Kansas City last year, and they basically got their brains beaten.
Yeah, and it was ridiculously cold too there. So, but they're terrible. If you look at the record, the stats bear out everything you're saying, Joe. The Dolphins have only won 3 out of the last 20 games when it was below 50 degrees or something. So, I mean, it's ridiculous, the numbers. So that the numbers back up that they're pansy ass in the cold. But they also dominate in the heat where they play also, and that takes a lot of oomph out of the opposing teams that have to come down there and aren't used to playing in the humidity. So I think that thing kind of balances itself out. Paul Jones is in the house. He says late November and into December looks pretty tight with Love, Stroud, and Lawrence. CJ Stroud against Aiden Hutchinson rematch coming in week number 10. That one's going to be in Houston. You got 2 in a row there, at Green Bay and at Houston. That's going to be a little tough stretch. Then you come back at home against Jacksonville, and then you're on the road against the Colts. I still like us to win all 4 of those games. Call me a homer. I know Houston's dangerous, and we're on the road, but I just think they aren't there yet where we are. We're an elite team now. Go ahead, Russ.
Does anybody else are really, really excited to see 5 cornerbacks that are going to play on this team this year that are better than the best cornerback that we had last year? Like, is anybody really excited to see how good these cornerbacks can be in an Aaron Glenn defense that's been void of talent for his entire tenure here in Detroit. I am so excited to go through that stretch with CJ Stroud where our corners are a little bit stickier and they can cover just a little bit longer, and all those pressures that we've been getting that they've been escaping. I'm looking for a big sack year. Those pressures are going to become sacks this year because we can cover longer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the DJ Reader is going to help a lot too. But the one thing that's going to be paramount with this whole team is who's going to help on the other side of Aiden. That's the main thing. Like I think Josh Pascal is going to break out this year. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
it's my quarterback. You like that?
That's one of my guys to break out this year. I've said it multiple times. I just think that first of all, they got Terrell Williams from Tennessee, and I'm full backstory. I know the Tennessee Titans like no one else, like literally no one else. And so like Terrell Williams leaving Tennessee was like their biggest loss of the season. I mean, biggest loss of the offseason. But then they lost one of their scouts that went to the Lions eventually. But Terrell Williams is one of the biggest losses of the season for the Tennessee Titans. That was a guy that he basically developed Jeffrey Simmons. He made Danico Autry a better player. He made something out of Harold Landry and Bud Dupree. Like they made some dogs there. Like what was it, Raekwon Williams, who was from Michigan State, undrafted free agent. They made him into a useful player. And then they brought in Kyle Pecco just recently, the defensive tackle. And he's going to make an impact too because he's a space-eating animal.
Right. And that unit's going to be so improved just having DJ Reader there too. He's going to unlock Jack Campbell this year. He's going to unlock whoever that other edge is you're talking about on the other end from Hutch. They're going to benefit so greatly from having DJ Reader there manipulating the gaps and such. And I think it's going to be Marcus Davenport. If he's had the most production of all of these guys, he just is constantly injured on the injured report. But when he does play, he's uber productive. And he played 14 games in 2019. He had 9.5 sacks. If we just get that out of him, I believe that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell think it's going to be Davenport's job to lose. Go ahead, Russ.
And I wanted to because I haven't shared this argument with Joe yet. One of the things I think is a misconception with like the Hutchinson versus the other side of Hutchinson is Hutchinson usually plays like 99.8% of the snaps. I mean, he's out there constantly,
right?
And what we're expecting this year is you got a combination of Josh Paschal, Davenport, maybe even Betts and Houston. They're all going to run in a rotation on the other side while Hutchinson just stays out there because his motor don't quit. So it's unfair to say like you're not going to get a guy that's probably going to get 10 sacks on the other side unless somebody just steps up like a Davenport. But you'll probably see 4 guys with 3 sacks or 4 sacks.
No, the only thing the only counter argument that I will have to that is like if you watch if you go back and you watch the all 22 kind of thing, Aiden Hutchinson's side, he gets the push. He gets a lot of pressure. Yep. What happens is these quarterbacks, it doesn't matter if you got the mobile quarterback or you got just a guy who's smart in the pocket, they're going to step up to the left side. They got room to step up to the left side. And sometimes they'll step up because the defensive end on the other side of Hutch is going way upfield. So that's the problem. You're trying to get that guy on the other side who can just hold serve. He doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to be excellent. He just has to hold serve. And you're not asking for a 10-sack guy. That's not going to happen. But you're looking for a guy who could take that job, and then you could add a James Houston in there, a Matthew Betts or someone along those lines, because you have the capabilities, but that was two of the issues last year.
Well, that's just the way it was last year. They had a constant that they're trying to keep a fresh guy. They're really trying to get a guy that does something different on that other side. That's constantly like Betts is different than Kaminsky, which is different than Paschal, which is different than Houston. So you're given different looks on that. And to Mike's point, I believe that Davenport, his ceiling is that. He could, like, if he plays all games, which he never does, but if he does, I mean, he could be a 11, 12 sack guy.
Absolutely. 12th overall draft pick. He's only played 66 games in his career, but he has over 24 sacks in those 66 games. If you do the math, that's an incredible ratio. That shows uber production. So Brad Holmes banking on it that, hey, if this is the year we can keep him healthy, we might have got a super steal here. What the Vikings were hoping to get last year before, an ankle sprain. He only played 4 games. But guess what? He had 2 sacks in those 4 games.
Right.
So,
Right. And I happen to agree with you, Joe, about Josh Pascal. That's my guy.
You have been saying that. But let's not forget James Houston. He's only played 11 games in his career, but he's has 8.5 sacks.
Right.
So, talk about uber production. I mean, if the pulleys and rods and pins in his leg now hold up and he can go back to 3/4 of what the form he had, we're set at defensive end. I told you, Russ, before the draft, we weren't going to draft a defensive end. We're good. We got 5. We got a defensive line rotation that's 8 guys deep. That's elite, friends. That is elite. What's next?
Man, I'm looking at the schedule right there, and you're absolutely right. Like right after you hit that first Bears game, from there on, you Bears, Packers, Bills, Bears, 49ers, and even if the Vikings aren't that good, that's brutal 5 games right there. That's brutal. I mean,
2 of the 5 is the Bears, and you're saying it's brutal?
I mean, you can even.
I believe in I have more belief in the Bears than I do the Packers to redo what they just did.
Okay.
Because I think that they're gonna really, really miss Aaron Jones, because I've never been a big believer in Josh Jacobs. He's just a guy. He's just a running back. He had 800 yards last year. I'm not scared of him, and he can't catch the ball out of the backfield. You let go of a better weapon to pay more.
Do you want a stat on Josh Jacobs that's going to blow your mind? It's gonna. There's 2 of the worst running backs after contact in the division now. Last year, Josh Jacobs was the worst at 2.35. And just ahead of him was DeAndre Swift at 2.37. So you got 2 guys that were signed recently to division foes who are not good after contact. And I would say the Chicago Bears offensive line is not going to help him out, because I mean DeAndre Swift was with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Lions, and he didn't do nothing. And then you look at like you said with Aaron Jones, he was the 3rd back in yards after contact, and yards after contact, I think is the most intriguing stat for a running back, because it's yards after your first contact. And you had David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs that were in the top 13 last year. Aaron Jones was number 3, so Aaron Jones goes to Minnesota. He's the better running back. Josh Jacobs is not good after contact. He goes to Green Bay. It's like, I think they got a lot worse at the position than they think they did. Like a lot of Green Bay Packers fans are talking about Josh Jacobs, the potential Pro Bowl running back. He's not the same guy. Like that's ridiculous.
Right. And DeAndre Swift was in the top 10 of yards before contact behind that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. I mean, he was getting 3.5 yards before anybody ever did touch him. And so I think he did get 1,000 yards last year, but what a great stat that is.
I mean, if you have the Eagles offensive line, you should be getting 1,000 yards. I mean, like,
right.
We saw Miles Sanders get close to 1,000 yards, and he lost his job to what? Chuba Hubbard. You know what I'm saying? He lost his job to Chuba Hubbard. So I don't see it, man.
It's where the battle's won. I mean, it's where the real fight is. This is a statement that I believe I've talked about it on my program a couple of times right here. And I just think that the Lions are Super Bowl contenders as long as Sewell is here. And it's because of his leadership and what he brings to the table outside. Now, I love me some Goff. I love me some Amon-Ra St. Brown and all that right there. But when you have an anchor, I mean, this kid's going to be here for 10, 15 more years. I mean, look at that guy.
Yeah, look at the intensity in that picture you got up there. Gee whiz.
That's a man.
Here's what I will say about Sewell is, just like the Eagles offensive line, they always have a guy that's like their linchpin. Lane Johnson for the Eagles is their linchpin. I don't care what anybody says.
Mm-hmm.
It was Jason Kelce too. So, but if you got that guy, if you got two of those guys, you're good to go. I mean, and I think that Giovanni Manu guy that they drafted in the draft this year,
We're gonna buy the kneecap off.
I think he's going to be really effing good. I think he's going to be the right tackle of the future. That's my opinion.
Wow, you think he's going to be the steal of the draft then?
Yep, he's going to be the Jordan Mailata of the draft.
Well, there aren't many guys that are 6'8" that can run a sub 5-second 40-yard dash.
It's crazy, dude. Like they were saying that he was
352 pounds.
Because I had an opportunity to talk to a CFL general manager that I know personally, and he literally said that they were hoping the NFL wouldn't get wind of this kid because they wanted him in the CFL because he was such a dominant force. And look, I know he came from British Columbia, which is not known for football; they're more known for hockey. But talent's talent, man. They found Jordan Mailata in Australia. Okay, so like that's where you can get some of these studs. And look, if you have the right read on a kid and you have the right context, like sometimes you can get these under the radar. And he was getting a lot of pull. Like it was either the Eagles or the Lions that were going to take him. That's my opinion because the Lions traded right up ahead of the Eagles. And I was told by the GM that the Eagles were the team that was the most interested in him.
Well, yeah, we had a whole conversation on one of our shows about that, how Howie Roseman and Brad Holmes are two of the best in the business, and don't think for 1 minute that these GMs aren't just as competitive as the players. And they know who the 12 teams were that went to his pro day, and Brad Holmes knew very well that Howie Roseman was going to jump up and take this guy. He also knew that the Green Bay Packers were going to take Terrion Arnold, and he jumped up in front of them to do that as well. This guy's an absolute Jedi, folks, running this organization now. Love it. Love it. Brad Holmes slappy. Label me. I don't care. Put it in the comments. Tell me what you think about this schedule release. It's a special schedule release program here on the Villain Squad Network. I'm your host, Main Event Mike, along with the maestro Russell Wayne and our very special guest, Joe Chapp from Detroit Lions News Podcast. Be sure to follow Joe Chapp at Detroit Lions News Podcast and follow us at Lions Villain Squad on Facebook and our new YouTube handle at Villain Squad on YouTube. Check it out. Moving on, let's take a look. Something that you're talking about here was Seattle. In the comments, somebody had a great comment here, and I lost it. And here it is. It's by our good friend Fred. I don't see it this year, but I don't see it. Seahawks will be a whole new team with Carroll being gone. What a great point that is. We get the Seattle Seahawks in week 4, our third out of 4 home games to start the season. I mean, we could easily be 2-1, maybe 3-0 in this stretch. I mean, obviously anything can happen in the NFL, but the Seattle Seahawks have beaten us the last 3 times in a row. Now Pete Carroll's gone from the organization. Dan Campbell will never get a chance to beat Pete Carroll again. This is going to be a new team, and to Fred's point, new coach coming in, Mike Macdonald, former Michigan defensive coordinator there now. They've got a lot of good young players. I'm just not sold on Geno Smith. I think, to Fred's point, that mystique, that magic is gone. The Lions have not forgotten what happened in Ford Field last year with the villains and them clowning us with the masks, and Dan Campbell opting for, to not kick the field goal at the end there to get us into position. So a tough pill to swallow, that loss last year. I think the Lions come back and win the Seattle game. That's on Monday Night Football, the Seattle game. I see this as a W. Joe Chapp, what do you think? Seattle on Monday Night Football, week 4.
All right, Seattle's a tough team because I did like some of their draft picks. I got it right here. Where is it? Right here. It's right here. So they still got Geno Smith. They got Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Their tight ends Noah Fant. But what I really liked about their draft is they got Byron Murphy, defensive lineman, and they got Christian Haynes, who I love. I love Christian Haynes. And someone brought up Mahogany in the comment section, and they're right. Mahogany is going to be a great player, but I wanted Christian Haynes here because I thought he'd be a good guard, but I didn't know we would get Mahogany too. That's kind of a steal, but Seattle's going to go through a transition period. I don't think they're going to be as good. Like, I don't think their defense is going to be as good. But what I can say is that Mike Macdonald, their coach, the defensive coach, he came from Michigan to Baltimore. The guy's a hell of a coach. He's a very good coach. So I wouldn't put anything past him. I still think they have some talent on the offense side of the ball to kind of, keep you at bay. But I'll keep saying all off season long, this is a better Detroit Lions team than they were last year. So this is a way different team. Like it's year 2 of Jahmyr Gibbs, year 2 of Brian Branch, year 2 of Jack Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a lot of talent that's gonna get only better. So, and I look at the Seattle Seahawks. They lost a lot of talent, like Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. I mean, I know they're at that back end of their career, but Bobby Wagner. Those are 3 big losses. I mean, just think about it,
For sure. And they, of course, K9, Kenneth Walker out there, good run game, got a good solid offensive line, super dangerous receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. It's not going to be easy. This is going to be a close game, I believe. I think the Lions do prevail, though. I think they get a W here. Russ Wayne, what do you think? Seattle week 4.
The Lions are a special team this year. Like I told you this a little bit earlier, and I wanted to throw this out to the people too. And it's like when I'm playing fantasy football, I'm trying to get like my roster all filled out. And then you want all your backups to be like dudes that are balling out too. And then you can get to this, like what I like to call this chi place with my fantasy football team where you're like, haha, I have the almighty team because my backups could start for your team. I have the same type of admiration for the way that Brad Holmes has built this team right here, because like you could change players out, but I don't see many upgrades that you could do outside of just taking a chance on a different player. I love this team, the way it's constructed. And I absolutely think that Seattle has some good players, but we're just too deep and we're just too damn good. I think there's a good chance at the beginning of the schedule that we could be going into the bye week 4-0.
Yeah.
Right.
I do like
right,
that.
Russ, we got a question in the comments specifically for you. Joshua Dorr says, question for Russ, if your kneecap gets bit off,
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
How do you walk? And then our good friend Fred answered for you, said, well, I don't know, ask TJ Hawkinson and Tyler Higbee.
We're going to bite a kneecap. We're going to bite a kneecap off.
Kirby Johnson takes that to a new level,
man.
All right, I love it.
Yeah. We're not known for having high character on this show.
Yeah. So Joe, do you see ESPN anywhere on your screen? Right. Joe, what was your prediction on Seattle, win or loss on that one?
I think they're going to win that game for sure.
Okay. All right. Next one I wanted to look at was Dallas, the revenge game, the Skipper reported game. Going to come right after the bye week on October 13th. That's week 6. And this game, it's going to be totally bananas in Dallas Stadium, AT&T Stadium, I believe, for this game. All eyes are going to be on this game. It's not a prime time game, but I promise you this is the game everyone wants to watch. What are your thoughts on Dallas week 6 on the road, Joe Chap?
The Lions are going to blow them out.
Blow them out. It won't even be close.
The champ is here. I'll tell you this right now. Number one, I know that there's people in that locker room that are pissed off about what happened late in the season. I know Dan Campbell's still pissed off about what happened. And to be honest, Dallas got worse. Like, think about it. Tony Pollard's gone. He went to Tennessee. They have Zeke Elliott as their running back.
Playoffs?
Like, Zeke Elliott as their running back. Like, can you imagine handing the ball off to a senior citizen? And then can you just imagine? Can you just imagine what happens when Dak Prescott doesn't have a run game? Like, this isn't like where CeeDee Lamb's going to go for 185 again, because I don't think that's going to happen. And that was the only thing that kept him in that game. Like, that was literally the only thing that kept him in that game. And I think the Lions offense, they're going to be much. I think they were injured I think Jonah Jackson was out, but Jonah Jackson wasn't that much of he wasn't that great last year. So,
right. What about you, Russ? Is this the road game you're going to go to Dallas this year?
It might be. It might be. I mean, I'm definitely going to throw it out there to the guys. And I know that we got a couple of the guys from the fantasy football and my road crew are in here watching. So if Dallas might be the game that we go to, and I want that put in our private group chat on there. But I think, yeah, that this is revenge all the way, baby. The Lions are going to do a special thing this year. And and we get to go on this ride. That's the way that I feel about this team. Maybe I'm setting myself up for disaster, but I see us at 5-0 right there. Let's go.
So you got this
going.
one. You got this one as a
That's
win.
a dub, dude.
All right,
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
folks. These takes are brought to you. These takes are brought to you by the Homer Depot. I am going to pick this as a loss, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if you don't come out and blow them out, like Joe Chapp said, you're going to lose this game. You're not going to beat Jerry Jones in his building if it's a close game. They've already proved that, bro. I just don't think you've got to find an L somewhere on this schedule. You got to find an L. So I'm going to go ahead and tag one here to lose in Dallas. You know, Dan Campbell grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan his whole life, went to Texas A&M. That's holy ground for him to be playing against Dallas Cowboys. You got to imagine if you're Dan Campbell, that's got to be the one on the schedule. You want that one so bad. He may never get that one. I'm going to pencil that one in for an L just because you got to put an L somewhere.
Well, I think the L that they're going to get is the Arizona game.
Well, all right.
I think Arizona's going to be vastly improved than they were last year. Like,
so we got 4-1 for you, 5-0 for me, 4-1 for Mike. Is that where this is at so far?
Yep.
I've got 2-1. I've only got I've kept track of everyone that I've asked you guys so far, and that was weeks 1, 4, and 6, but doesn't matter. Anyway, I like that call out though to take the L in Arizona. I'm still giving it a win because they may be vastly improved, but they're not half as good as this team. And I mean, I just don't see them getting it together that early in the season against this Lions team.
How about the Tampa Bakers?
Especially if we beat the Baker Mayfields and are 2-0 going to Arizona.
That's a game that I have a little bit of like resentment towards. Kind of, I think that the Buccaneers are still a good team. Their defense is really good. Antoine Winfield's a beast. They had a really good draft. If you look at they drafted Broswell, McMillan, Barton, who I like Barton in the draft, and Tyke Smith. Those are good players. And then you look at Arizona, I'll say it again. Marvin Harrison is going to be a beast. Darius Robinson is going to be a beast. They drafted 2 good corners, and I love their offense. Their defense is not much to shake a stick at, so you could probably run roughshod over them. But I think Kyler Murray with Marvin Harrison Jr., I think it's going to revive his career, to be honest. I just feel like that's going to be the game that's going to be the loss.
Mm-hmm. Trey McBride, also, the second tight end off the board a couple of years ago. They got a lot of high hopes for him. And one thing where you're saying about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I like that they kept so many of their guys as the season was closing. Oh, where's Mike Evans going to go? Well, they re-signed him. Levante David, they end up re-signing him. Baker, they re-signed him. They kept their guys. Antoine Winfield just signed a big deal. They did lose Carlton Davis, but for the most part, they were able to keep that team intact that won a playoff game. And had their season end in Detroit. But I agree. Good, solid team there. They got better, not worse. Week 2 coming to Ford Field. So you got that as a W or an L?
W. I think Detroit's going to win because it's at home.
At week 2. But you had week 3 Arizona as an L. Yep. I also think they're going to beat Tampa again. Russ, what do you think about Tampa?
I like I said, I think we're 5-0 going here. Here's the
into
thing
the bye.
with those,
wow.
Well, here's the thing with like a team like Arizona. Yeah, you got a lot better, but Detroit has something that you can't get in a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, so teams that are trying to figure things out, I think we're going to run over.
Here's the thing. Their coach, Gannon, did a hell of a job last year with who was their quarterback again? Josh Dobbs at one point. No, it wasn't Josh Dobbs. Well, Josh Dobbs.
Colt McCoy.
It was a cast of misfit toys. And they were decent for the most part. Like they were 4-13. They're not decent, but they were like they were in games all of a sudden. But
they beat Dallas.
Like main event. Mike said, Arizona, weird things happen in Lions. It just is. It's a fact of nature, man. You go to Arizona. I feel like it's one of those like heebie-jeebie type situations. So you're like, damn it, man. Because there's some teams that Detroit should have beat the hell out of Arizona like during the Stafford years.
Yes.
They lose. Or they tie, and you're like, "What the hell? Like, what?" Like,
The desert
okay.
has not been kind to the Lions for sure. Let's take a look what we got in the comments here. Paul Jones says playing Zeke Elliott is elder abuse.
I told you. I told you.
Ken Fisher, to your point, Joe. Barnes missing that tackle on Dak Prescott in the end zone. That was the difference maker. I mean, all those yards CeeDee Lamb got was 92 yards on that one play. So I love this call too by Fred says, I think we need to have Dan Skipper report as eligible on the very first offensive play in Dallas. All the Lions fans in the joint are going to go nuts, and it's going to be that is a great call out.
I love it. I love it. So where
number
are we at?
70 has reported as eligible.
So it really is a 4-1, 4-1. I got him at 5-0, and I'm right. Or did we not do? We did Seattle already.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I got us winning in Arizona. What do you got in Arizona, Russ?
I got him winning.
He's got 5-0 up until Cowboys. Yeah.
All right. So you got it. So you got us.
I just wanted to catch
beating
everybody else up so we can go through the rest of the schedule, and then we can, talk about whatever.
There we are. We are all the way through week 6 so far is what we got. So let's do that then. Let's just move on from game to game. You put it in the comments, folks, as follow along with us. We'll try to say the best comments that we see. And we appreciate everybody being on with us on this very special edition of the Main Event Football Show with our special guest, Joe Chapp from the Detroit Lions News podcast, Detroit Lions News Show. So week number 7, because only the 6 games, because we've already had our bye week, is at Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy, will he be playing, or will Sam Darnold still be playing, or will J.J. have emerged by week 7? Russell Wayne, you've been to the stadium. You know it's a great environment. What do you think about the Lions' chances week 7 at Minnesota?
Well, I'm not on the side that Minnesota is any good at all. I think they're going to struggle this year. I think they're dealing with a little bit of their cap hell. And they had a good quarterback to let him walk out. I don't know what the hell Atlanta's doing down there. But, I mean, is J.J. McCarthy going to come out and just start slinging the ball around and being a great quarterback? I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to be at the bottom of the division because the other 3 teams are way better than they are. Yep. So, I think they go and take care of business right there in Minnesota and give Minnesota a little beat down.
All right, you got them 6-0 now, Russell.
I see it the way
I see it. Joe Chapp, what do you think? Lions on the road.
So Minnesota's kind of the ultimate wild card with that team. I love the free agent acquisitions they had. They obviously let Danielle Hunter walk. That was a big one. But I don't know what to expect about Minnesota. Like, I like their run game with Aaron Jones. I like their tight end and their wide receivers. But, like, I don't know what to expect out of J.J. McCarthy. I don't even know if they'll start week 1. Or he might not even be starting by the time we play them. So it might be Sam Darnold time. I don't know.
Sam Darnold.
But like, the way I look at it, like, is like Dallas Turner could be a good player. Their defense with Brian Flores is going to always be talented. And they're gonna be a well-coached defense. So that's going to be a tough game, but I don't know. I kind of lean towards a win. So I think that's the win.
Well, you've always got to temper your expectations when you're playing in the division. If you do 3-3 in the division every year, that's kind of what we kind of predict. But I just think this year is a little more special. Minnesota's not going to be able to outscore us. It's interesting, that graphic you put up, Joe, not one defensive player on that graphic. So, right? Oh, Edge Dallas Turner, a rookie. Sorry, a rookie.
But he's a rookie, so it's kind of like, what do you expect out of a rookie? You know what I'm
but
saying?
they did bring in Jonathan. They did bring in Jonathan Greenard from Houston, who's a good player, good young player. Did let Danielle Hunter go, but hey, they're just not good enough. They gave away too much in the draft.
Nice pass rusher.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do about it? I mean, I don't care who you put on the other side.
Yeah, nice story. Nice story. Oh, you got a pass rusher. Nice. I'm giving that a win. So week 8 now is Tennessee Titans back in the friendly confines of Ford Field. Detroit Lions come in. If you're Russell Wayne, we're probably 7-0 or 6-0 at this point. Coming back into tennis to play Tennessee Titans and Will Levis. What do you think, Russell? I'll let you have that one first.
Let Joe go first, because he always has cool.
Oh, that's right. He's the Tennessee Titans guy too. He knows all about.
But let him get his professional opinion, and then I'll bring in Homer Depot.
Okay, so we play two teams that have coaches, new coaches. One of them is the Titans, and then you look at the Tennessee Titans and their draft. I mean, their best wide receivers are Calvin Ridley and Hopkins. Their tight end, he's just all right, but they got some good players that they drafted in the thing. But I'll tell you this right now: Will Levis might be the worst quarterback I have ever seen in my entire existence. He's a statue in the quarter.
It's my quarterback.
Thank God he's not my quarterback, dude. That's bad.
Playoffs.
When I talk to people that are from Tennessee, and I talk to people that I know that are Tennessee Titans fans, they just want this year to be over with because they think that Will Levis is going to just totally shit the bed. He's a quarterback that if he gets pressured, he's not going to. He's a statue back there. He's going to stand back there. And he usually just throws an interception. Like, that's the way he is. He's a strong-armed dude that can throw the ball wherever he wants, but then he gets sacked all the time, and he throws interceptions. And the Titans lost their best coach, Terrell Williams, to the Detroit Lions. And, they have a rookie coach that's coming in with, a quarterback that's not really that good. And, they lost to Nico Autry, one of their best defensive players last year. So, and honestly, their secondary is total ass. Like, it's totally ass. Like, you thought last year for the Lions was bad, they're worse. Like, they have a bunch of guys back there that are just, they're not good. Like, they drafted a bunch of guys. Like, they drafted the kid from Auburn. He's not good. They drafted a bunch of kids, and they're not good. So that's kind of a game that I could see that the Lions kind of run away with that game.
Right on. Joe's got the Titans fall into the Lions in week 8. How about you, Russell?
That's one of the reasons I wanted him to go first, because I don't want to seem like such. I'm sorry that we're playing a bad team, another bad team, and I got to call out a W. We're front loaded on our schedule. It feels like the hardest part of our schedule is at the end anyway. I'll put some losses in there. Shut up.
I got Larry Zonka on line 1. Says the 72 Dolphins are in danger. All right. I also think that the Tennessee Titans don't have enough team to beat the Lions, especially in our house. Will Levis is a streaky player. He came in and had an incredible fill-in game last year, and they immediately benched Ryan Tannehill. And then the next game, Will Levis looked, like Joe said, the worst quarterback I've ever seen. I told you on draft day that he was going to be a bust, that I just didn't see it. He had more interceptions than touchdowns in the regular season his senior year. So I always thought he was going to be a bust. So I think that I agree with Joe. Not enough team there to beat the Lions. Week 9. Here's the big one, folks. At the Green Bay Packers. Robert, where are you, Robert Bertana? I want to hear what you got to say about this. At Ford Field North, Lambeau. I'm going to predict it right now. Lions win this game going away. We're going to dominate the Packers in both games this year. We're going to sweep the Pack this year. That's my bold prediction for the season. What do you got there, Joe?
I think they lose this game.
Okay.
I think the Packers they're going to, this is where the schedule gets a little bit tougher, just a little bit tougher, but I think that this is a game that you can pencil in kind of like as a loss. Now, I want to see what Green Bay is in their first 4 games. Like, that's literally what I'm going to look at. Like, are the Green Bay is Jordan Love the same quarterback we've seen in the later half of the season, or was he the Jordan Love that happened at the beginning of the season? Like, that's the major thing with the Packers. Like, I love their defense. I think their defense is solid. I think they got some good players like Jaden Reed and but Josh Jacobs ass. So I don't know. I think I'll go win. I'm talking myself into a win because Josh Jacobs is total ass. I don't care.
Oh, he's changing course and going with a win. What do you got, Russ?
Well, this is my Doctor Strange world, right? So this is like we're in my world, we are 7-0 at this point, right? And we're gonna go up in the Lambeau with our chests out, and I think this is a reality check right here. Give us first loss of the season in Lambeau. Bring us back down to earth, and then Darren Campbell's going to go out there and say, "Oh, we're going to get this thing all turned around.
We're going to bite a kneecap off,
and it'll be all good."
I can hear Mark Elmore laughing right now. Awesome. Week 10 at
for you,
Houston.
You
At
missed
the
it.
Houston Texans, the surprise team last year just got better, man. It's a good team. Stephon Diggs there now. They drafted well. Great coach, D'Amico Ryans. I mean, this is a tough team. It's the rematch for Aiden Hutchinson and CJ Stroud. Go Blue. I'm going to give this one an L as well. You got to put L's somewhere. I think we lose. There's no shame in losing to Houston on the road. It's a good young team. They match up well against us too, I think. So what do you got, Joe, on the Houston Texans?
I also think this is an L, and I think it'll be a close one. But I think that, look, I like CJ Stroud a lot. I like D'Amico Ryans. I think he's just like Dan Campbell, the player coach, the one that everyone respects when he walks in the room. They got much better and Tank Dell coming back. Nico Collins is a beast. Dalton Schultz. They got Joe Mixon, who was a hard runner. They revamped that defense with Daniil Hunter and Danico Autry, and they have a bunch of guys, and then the rookies, Lassiter, like they got some good guys, man. Like I think the Texans are a team that you really want to watch out for. I think that if I'm looking at this schedule, the Texan game scares me a little. It scares me a lot, to be honest. And this is a kind of these two games that you have with Green Bay and Houston. One of them is going to be an out. You just know it's going to be an out. One of them.
What do you got, Russ?
Well, I'm going to have all the SOL fans going to come out of the woodworks. They're going to have their pitchforks out because the Lions are going to lose 2 in a row here.
Okay.
And I got them at 7-2 at this point. I think that the Texans are the better team from Texas. So we're going to beat down Dallas in Dallas and get the revenge. And then Texas is going to plant their flag as the best team in Texas.
All right.
I think CJ Stroud's the best quarterback that we're playing this year. That's my opinion. He's going to be
It's my quarterback.
All three of us have the Lions losing to the Texans. Our good friend Paul Jones in the comments says he has L's against Green Bay, Houston, and Chicago in this stretch. And we move to week 11 back at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I got to give this a W. They just don't have enough team to beat us. We dominated them the last time. We won 40-14 the last time they came to Ford Field. I don't see them being much better. I thought Calvin Ridley had a great season last year, and now they've lost him. I don't see them being able to beat us. I got a W there. Joe Chap, what do you got for Jacksonville in Ford Field?
This is a funny one. Okay. Jacksonville is the ultimate, like, I have no idea what the hell they are. Like, everyone thought that Trevor Lawrence was going to be this generational type quarterback. I haven't seen it. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. I mean, they added Brian Thomas. They added Gabe Davis during the offseason. But, like, Trevor Lawrence is the ultimate wild card. What is he going to be? That's the question. Like, what is Trevor Lawrence going to be? And that's how Jacksonville season is going to go. They're not good on defense. Them not taking Hutch, they're going to regret that pick every day of the week. Like, them taking Trayvon Walker, I know Trayvon Walker has some good qualities. He's not Aiden Hutchinson. He's not Kayvon Thibodeau. And that's a problem. Like, that's a guy that they drafted number 1 overall, and he is not living up to the billing. And you got 2 guys on both sides of the ball who are they're not living up to their number 1 overall pick. Lawrence and Trevante Walker.
Right, Travis Etienne, a real good running back. What do you see there, Russ? So you got that as a win, Joe?
Yeah, win. That's a win.
What do you got, Russell?
Yeah, I mean, there it is. You remember when Dan Campbell first got here, he talked about the deep water thing, right? But before he got into that part, he talked about there are some teams that they're just not ready. They're just not ready to play a team like the Lions. Like, we're that team. So
yeah, it's a talent overload for them for sure.
We're a way more talented team than they are, and they go in and they're gonna take care of business. 8-2. 8-2.
All right. Week 12 at the Indianapolis Colts. Because it's week 12, I believe Anthony Richardson will probably be injured by now. So I'm going to give and put up. Forgive me, God. Don't make me the reason if the poor kid gets an injury. I'm going to give that a win. I think we dominate them. Jonathan Taylor's a good running back, but you're not going to be able to run on this defense. We're going to be top 5 against the run. And Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, those are your receivers. I don't even know who the tight end is. I know they do have another wide receiver they brought. Oh, thanks for bringing that up. Donnie Mitchell, right, the rookie from Texas. So, yeah, definitely a win for me. Joe Chap, what do you got for Week 12 at Indy?
Well, I like their draft class with the Latu in the first round, and they got A.D. Mitchell, and I think A.D. Mitchell is going to be a talented player.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, do I see Anthony Richardson lasting the whole season? I hope he does, because he's a hell of a player. He's got a hell of an arm, but man, he puts himself in such rough positions to get hit and like hurt. So you might be right on that. Like, you might be right. And I look at it like this. This is going to be the second best running back we're going to go against. I think obviously Christian McCaffrey is number 1, but Taylor is a good number 2. Yeah, like you go look at the running back rankings, like you got McCaffrey, Taylor. So you're going to be facing some tough running backs to start out, and that's the way it is. But this run defense is really good. They'll make it known, and I think they're going to win this game.
All right. Russell, what do you got? Indianapolis, the Jabroni Ponies.
And where are we at again here? We're in
Week 12.
Are we there? We're there. Gosh, man, it's hard. This is it really does depend to me if Anthony Richardson's going to be there. And I don't know. Let's say I'm going to call that one a win.
Okay.
I got 9-2. I can't see a reason that they would just.
Week 13 is Thanksgiving. Gobble, 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 gobble. In Ford Field, the tradition brought to you by Ford. And it'll be Caleb Williams. First time in Detroit, coming on a short week. Matt Eberflus, coach of the Bears, already named him the starter. Let's just get it out of the way, he said. He's going to be our starter going in. Painted fingernails and all. It'll be week 13. I did peek at their schedule a bit. No way Chicago comes in and beats the Lions on Thanksgiving after what happened to us with Green Bay last year. No way. Lions win this game big. What do you got, Joe?
I don't know, man, because, okay, I think this is going to be a win because it's at home, but I don't know what to expect out of Caleb Williams. I feel like this is the ultimate wild card of the draft, especially with quarterbacks. Like, I think J.J. McCarthy might be a good quarterback in the league, but I think Caleb Williams is the ultimate, wild card. Because there's flashes of his game that can be great, and then there's flashes of his game where he plays a team like Utah or Oregon or Washington, a team that's, tough and gritty, and he shows his ass. Like, this is one of the things I look at. I look at Caleb Williams kind of like, if he's good, he's going to be really good. If he's not good, he's going to be really bad. That's the way I look at it. So I think Chicago's defense is damn good. DeAndre Swift will be hurt by the time we play him. So I'm not really confident in that team. I think their offense is going to be really good, though. But again, I don't know what to expect out of the quarterback position. That's the problem. Caleb Williams is he's a wild card. And I just don't know.
He is, and we haven't seen him take an NFL snap yet, so we don't know what to expect. So win or loss on this one on Thanksgiving.
Win. It's going to be a win.
Okay. Russell Wayne.
Well, I think that we're going to be here, and we're going to be coming off of a short week in the Indianapolis game, going there 4 days later. And I think that this is where they're gonna catch us. They just love spoiling our Thanksgiving. We've seen to lose on Thanksgiving, wow. So the Bears are gonna be. That's gonna be their win against us.
Well, Russ, I love tradition, right? Get up early, put the turkey in the oven, smell wafting through the house, watch the Lions lose. I love tradition. So that really doesn't bother me if we lose that one. So you definitely are on a roll here. That's three losses. Let's go take some questions real quick or some comments real quick. Okay. Some dude named Darcy, I think he's a Buffalo Bills fan. He says, I got a question for Joe Chappie, the Jared Goff slappy. Is Jared Goff the best quarterback in this division, Joe Chap, now that Caleb Williams is here?
I'm not a certain guy with glasses, okay? So that you could rule that out. Number one. Number two, Darcy is just mad because he's wrong, because I said that Jared Goff was going to get an extension, and I told him I would have done it a year
It's my
ago.
quarterback.
That's my quarterback. Exactly. Like, I know Darcy's a Hendon Hooker fan, but I am a Tennessee Volunteer fan. And I can tell you, I've seen Hendon Hooker a lot of times, and he's not a starting quarterback in this league. Like, it just ain't. Like, he's good. He's a good backup. He's the most important player on this team coming up, because he's a backup. He's gonna be our backup. So if Jared Goff gets hurt, he's the next man up, and that's gonna be a huge. I think he'll be a good backup, though. He's gonna be really good.
All right, let's get back to this new schedule release, because it is schedule release day, and it's our special schedule release show here on the Villain Squad Network. I just wanted to take any chance I could to call Darcy a Buffalo Bill fan. Week 14, Green Bay on Thursday Night Football in Ford Field. We're going to sweep the pack this year. That's my bold prediction, just to piss Robert off. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's a W for me. Russell Wayne, I'm going to skip Joe on this one and send it right to you. Ford Field, Lambeau. You gave us an L in Lambeau. What about when they come to our house?
Well, here's the thing. Well, Lambeau, they're going to be on a short week, while we're going to have an entire week to prepare, because we're doing double Thursday duty. So which means with our full week preparation, we're going to come in and be a pop, pop, pop. How you like that? Get that win. Get that win. 10-3.
Yeah, that's a great call out right there.
That's a great point.
Yes, it is. All right. And Joe Chapp, what do you got? Ford Field, Packers, Jordan Love.
This can't even be a question. Green Bay is going to come in here and they're going to run into a buzzsaw. I think Dan Campbell will have them ready to go. And if you guys are right about them losing on Thanksgiving, which I think Russ is the one that said it, they're going to come off with their hair on fire. So, and you know what? Here's what I'll say about the Lions too. They play better in prime time. So I think that they'll come out and just they'll mollywop them. Yeah,
We're gonna bite a kneecap off.
I think so too. Week 15 coming off a Thursday at home against the Buffalo Bills. This is week 15. This will probably be a Sunday 1:00 game.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to give us an L here, just because. I mean, I saw that list of quarterbacks that you put up that we're going to face this year. Josh Allen's number one on that list, I would imagine.
Well, I forgot Josh Allen on the list, so he is number one on that list. So
yeah.
Josh Allen.
What do you got against the Buffalo Bills at home?
Well, I think this game is going to be a win. I do think they'll win this game.
All right.
Just because I think it's at home. First of all, that's a built-in, added dimension. But I just think that the Buffalo Bills, like, I don't know what to expect out of them yet. I know that Josh Allen's a clone, like, he's an alien, to be honest. But like I said, this defense is way better than it was the last 2 years. They came in here 2 years ago on Thanksgiving, and it was a close game. Detroit should have won that game, to be honest. And I look for the same thing this time. I think it's going to be a close game. But I don't think the secondary is going to let I don't think Will Harris is going to be the guy that lets Stephon Diggs walk 60 yards to a field goal. So I'll take the W for the Lions.
All right. Russell, what do you got?
I think that the Buffalo Bills are overrated. I think everybody's underselling the fact that Stephon Diggs isn't part of that team anymore, and that they just lost their best safety, and they just expect, because they're the Buffalo Bills, that they're just going to recover from all of these things, and nothing's going to cap hell. They're kind of.
I'll tell you one thing. Everyone says that they're going to fall off because of Stephon Diggs. I think they're going to get better because Stephon Diggs is out.
I mean,
Stephon Diggs. I'll give you a stat. This is a good stat for the Buffalo Bills. Route efficiency. Stephon Diggs was the last 8 weeks of the season was like one of the bottom receivers. Khalil Shakir, he was like their guy that took off later in the season. He was at the top, so I think that Shakir is going to take that spot. And I think Keon Coleman is going to be a good target for Josh Allen, and also Dawson Knox. I think that kid's special. I think he's special. I think him and Sam Laporta are two special tight ends for the future.
Mm-hmm. But they lost Stephon Diggs, and they also lost Gabe Davis and Keon Coleman. I get it, 6'4" from Florida State, going to be a good X receiver for them, maybe. But he's a rookie. Maybe. And who do you got? Khalil Shakir. That's it. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. What do you got, Russ?
I mean, that's just that. I just think that people are underselling what that is. I think they're an average and ordinary team now. I don't think they suck, but I think they went from this elite tier where they might be able to win the Super Bowl. That team ain't winning no Super Bowl.
They lost so many pieces on defense.
And at home, I think we take care of business against them.
I think they're going to get better with because Joe Brady took over as offense coordinator. They're going to have a more run-oriented offense. So I think they're going to be a little bit different in the way that they play. So,
right, I'm sticking with the L, even though they had so many losses on defense, and I don't think that they can outscore the Lions, and that might be what they'll have to do to win the game. But I do think that Josh Allen, and everything in this league comes down to quarterback play. He's a special player that gets a lot of hate, and people. Some people named Russ who say that he's overrated. Not every person named Russ says that he's overrated, but some people named Russ say he's overrated. And I just don't think he is overrated, especially when you look at that game against Cincinnati last year. Guy's a wrecking machine. He's a dog. Josh Allen is a dog. He's a top 3, top 4 quarterback in this league. And the Lions struggle with big quarterbacks that can run. They struggle with them. And I just think you got to put L's somewhere, and Buffalo beating us, Josh Allen beating us seems right. But the two of you guys got him as a win, and we moved to week 16. This one's at Chicago. It's not in the brand new stadium they're going to build. It's in that parking lot called Soldier Field, and it is week 16, and it is 3 days before Christmas when it's going to be wretched in Chicago. Joe Chap, what do you see happening here?
I think this is a loss. I do. I think Chicago is this is gonna be the one game that they'll get up for, and I think that this is gonna be a loss. That Chicago game, and I think it's gonna be a look ahead spot because what do you got ahead of you? The 49ers, and I think that game is gonna be huge because that game is gonna be for home field advantage. So that's it's kind of like that look ahead. Like I know players say that they don't look ahead, but that's nonsense. They're definitely looking ahead right here.
Okay, what do you got, Russ?
Revenge, man. They beat us on Thanksgiving. We're not going to deal with that shit very well. We're going to go into Chicago, take care of business. Whoop that trick.
So you got us losing it home to Chicago.
Yep.
And then we're going to beat them on the road.
We're going to beat them on the road.
Very interesting. I have us beating them as well. Rookie quarterback, you're not going to beat us. I'm sorry who you are. San Francisco 49ers in week 17. This is a win for me, guys. Biggest revenge game of our lives for these players. This is where it all broke their hearts and their spirits last year. I think they go out to San Fran and they win this game and show that they're the number 1 seed and the best team in the NFC. Joe Chap, what do you think of that?
I'm going to tell you this right now. You got me at 3 losses, right? I got 3 losses for the Lions.
Yes.
Okay.
We all have them 3 losses, all 3 of us.
Thankfully, I've been right about the record for 5 years straight, including that year that they got the tie. So that's luck. But yeah, I think this is going to be the game that decides home field advantage for the NFC. I think that the Lions are going to come with their hair on fire because of what happened in San Francisco with the NFC Championship game. And furthermore, it's for home field advantage. Like there's no way they're losing this game because if you have all these teams come to Detroit, good luck. Good luck. Like seriously, good luck. Because that stadium, when it gets loud, I was there for the Buccaneers game, and I couldn't hear it for 2 days straight. So that just tells you how loud that place gets. And if they get a chance to have home field advantage, you know Dan Campbell is not going to let them lose that game. You know for a fact.
Russ, what do you think? You also got us beating the Niners?
That is, I mean, he hit it right on the head where this is a special season. You're going in there. Now we're 13-3 with a chance to go 14-3.
Mm-hmm.
That's a special season. I mean, how do you get to 13 or 14 wins? Well, we've just cleared a path. And I think any one of our paths could be the path, we're all homers. I mean, we're sitting here at 13 wins right here with a game left.
All right. So there it is. Week 18. We wrap up the season 2 years in a row in Ford Field against the Minnesota Vikings. I had the privilege of going to this game last year. Took my grandson, one of the greatest days of my life. Thank you to Coach Darcy Maville for that. Really appreciate that. And I think we roll. I don't care if JJ McCarthy or Brian Flores goes out there and suits up and plays linebacker. I don't even care. We're going to win that game, and we're going to finish the season 14-3, the number 1 seed. All roads to the Super Bowl lead through Detroit. Joe Chap, what do you think week 18 against Minnesota?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be to lock the number 1 seed up, so there's no way they're losing. I think that I looked at the Eagles' schedule. I think they could be 14-3 at this time. So I think that's what it's going to come down to is the NFC losses. And the Lions lost between my thing. I think they lost 1 game in the AFC. So it doesn't count towards the tiebreaker. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions because I think it's going to be for the home field advantage with the Eagles.
Russell, what do you got? Week 18.
Yeah, so we're sitting here at 13-3. I already think home field is going to be locked up. So the Lions are going to send some guys down to the practice squad, get Hendon Hooker starting right there. And I did have them sweeping the Vikings, but they're going to lose this game on one of those stupid little default things because they're not going to play any of their starters, and they'll lose that game.
Paul agrees with you. He says Hooker might play in this game. Wow.
Yeah. And the thing is like they may play him and win. Like the Lions may play and Hooker might light them up. And they may be 14-3 anyway, but I'll count that as a loss so I can keep it my 13-4.
Last year, the only reason the game was close against the Vikings in Ford Field was because our secondary was so bad. JJ just abused Kendall Vildor all game long, and it wasn't like CeeDee Lamb with the big stats on one big play. He just beat us all day. And don't be surprised if we do lose one because it is an NFC North Division game. But Russ, all 3 of us have now gone 14-3 for our predictions for the Detroit Lions 2024 season. I hope we're right. It's been a great ride tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and on YouTube at Villain Squad. Be sure to check out Detroit Lions News Podcast show as well. Joe Chap and the boys, thank you for letting us be a part of the things that you do. We really appreciate it. And as always, it's faith, family, and football. So on behalf of Joe Chap and the maestro Russell Wayne, I'm Main Event Mike saying God bless each and every one of you. Peace out.